One of the strangest feelings a human being can experience is being surrounded by people and still feeling completely alone. Not because no one is there, because no one is actually there. You can be at a party. You can be in a group chat that never stops buzzing. You can be sitting next to someone who loves you and still feel like you're the only person in the room. That feeling has a name, but almost nobody understands where it actually comes from. Most people think loneliness is about being by yourself. That is the first mistake. Loneliness has almost nothing to do with how many people are around you. It has everything to do with something else. Something your brain is constantly measuring in the background without telling you. And once you understand what that thing is, you will start noticing it everywhere, in yourself, in people you know, in rooms full of laughter that somehow still feel empty. Let's start with the moment most people brush off. You're at a gathering, friends, maybe family, conversation is flowing. Someone tells a story, people laugh. You laugh too. But somewhere underneath that laugh, there's a small, quiet thought. They wouldn't notice if I left right now. That thought passes fast. Most people don't even let themselves finish it. But it doesn't disappear, it just goes underground. Here's the part that makes this so unsettling. That thought isn't really about whether they'd notice. It's about something much deeper. It's your brain asking a question it's been asking your whole life. Do I actually matter here, or am I just present? Presence and belonging are not the same thing. Your brain knows the difference, even when you don't say it out loud. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Because you can be physically included and still be socially invisible. You can be invited to everything and still feel like an afterthought. You can have 10 people who would say yes if you asked them to hang out, and still feel like none of them would notice if you quietly disappeared from their lives. That gap between being included and being truly seen is where loneliness actually lives. Not in solitude, in that gap. Most people never name this gap, so they assume something is wrong with them instead. Maybe I'm just bad at connecting. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not interesting enough to actually matter to people. But that is not even the strange part. The strange part is this. The people who feel this the most are often the ones who give the most. The friend who always checks in first. The one who remembers birthdays. The one who shows up. They are usually the loneliest in the room. Why would that be true? Because somewhere along the way, they learned something dangerous. They learned that being valued and being needed feel almost identical. So they kept being needed. Helpful, available, easy to talk to, low maintenance. And it worked, people liked having them around. But being liked for what you provide is not the same as being wanted for who you are. And your nervous system knows the difference, even if your conscious mind refuses to admit it. This is where most people shut the thought down. Because admitting this feels like betrayal, like you're saying your friends don't actually care. That's not what this is. Your friends probably do care, that's not the problem. The problem is something quieter. Most relationships are built on convenience, history, and shared context. Very few are built on someone actually, fully knowing you. And there's a difference between people who know facts about you and people who know what it's actually like to be you. Your favorite show, your job, your relationship status, your last vacation. Those are facts. What keeps you up at night? What you're secretly afraid you'll never become. What you actually think about when the room goes quiet. Almost nobody has access to that. Not because people don't want to know it. Because you stopped showing it. Here's the part your brain hides from you on purpose. At some point, probably a long time ago, you got hurt for being too visible. Maybe you shared something real and got laughed at. Maybe you were vulnerable and it backfired. Maybe you watched someone else get exposed for being too much and quietly decided you would never let that happen to you. So you adjusted. You became easier, smoother, more agreeable. You learned to read a room and give it exactly what it wanted from you. And it worked, people enjoyed you. But somewhere in that adjustment, the version of you that people actually responded to became a performance. A good one, maybe even one you forgot, was a performance. But underneath it, something has been quietly starving. This is the part that explains the loneliness in the crowded room. You're not lonely because people don't like you. You're lonely because the version of you they like isn't fully you. So even when they laugh with you, hug you, invite you back again and again, some part of you knows they're responding to the edited version. And being loved for the edited version feels like being loved by people who don't actually know who they're loving. That's the gap, that's where the ache comes from. Not absence, distance disguised as closeness. Now here's the part that should genuinely concern you. This pattern doesn't fix itself with time. It gets worse the more successful you become at being likable. Because the better you get at giving people what they want from you, the further you get from ever being met as you actually are. You become more impressive, more popular maybe, and somehow more alone. This is why some of the most surrounded people you know seem to carry a strange sadness underneath their smile. Not because they're ungrateful, because being surrounded was never the thing they actually needed. Most people pretend this does not affect them. They'll tell you they're fine, that they have a great group of friends, that things are good. And things probably are good, on the surface most people are allowed to see. But ask yourself something honestly. Out of everyone around you, how many of them know what you're actually afraid of? Not your job stress, not your "I'm just tired" excuse. The real thing, the fear underneath the fear. If the number that comes to mind is small, or zero, that explains the loneliness more than any amount of solitude ever could. Here's where this gets personal, whether you want it to or not. You have probably done this to other people too. Someone has tried to get close to you, and some part of you quietly kept them at a comfortable distance. Not out of malice, out of self-protection. Because letting someone fully see you means giving them the power to actually reject the real version. And rejecting the performance hurts less than rejecting you. So you protect yourself by never fully showing up. And in doing that, you guarantee the very loneliness you're trying to avoid. This is the trap. The armor that protects you from being hurt is the exact same armor that keeps you from ever being truly known. You cannot have both. Either the armor stays up and you stay safe and unseen, or the armor comes down and you risk being fully known, fully loved, or fully rejected. Most people choose safety, and then wonder quietly late at night why they still feel so alone. So what actually changes this? Not more friends, not bigger group chats, not being more social. It starts with one specific, uncomfortable shift. Letting one person see something real, something unedited, something that isn't designed to be liked. Not everyone, not all at once. One real moment with one real person where you don't perform. That single moment does something most people underestimate. It tests whether connection is even possible with the real you, not the curated one. And here is the truth most people are afraid to hear. Some people will not respond well to that. Some will pull away from the real version the same way they wouldn't have noticed if you disappeared. That will hurt, but it will also tell you something important. That connection was never actually there. You just couldn't see that yet because the performance was working. But some people will line in. They will meet the real version with more interest, not less. And that is the first moment the loneliness actually starts to lift. Not because the room got more crowded. Because for the first time, you weren't alone in it. This feeling you've been carrying, the ache in a crowded room, the quiet thought that no one would notice if you left. It was never proof that you're unlovable. It was proof that you've been loved for a version of yourself that was never fully real. The work now isn't to become more likable. It's to become more findable. Because the people who are capable of truly knowing you can't do that until you stop hiding from them.